If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Greetings, my friends in podcast land, and thanks so much for tuning in to Drea's Point of View. I am your hostess, Drea, and each week I will be bringing you topics that I feel passionate about in 10 minutes or less. Why? Because I value your time. And I will be doing that with absolutely no co-host at all. Why not? Because I don't like to share the spotlight, and I want to bring you an uninterrupted version of Drea's Point of View. That being said, let's jump right into this week's topic. Thank you for being a pod. This is the end of my first season. I've made it to 6 months, and I didn't think I'd last this long. I really didn't. I started out with a show once a week, and the numbers weren't there. So I was really getting disappointed. And then someone suggested, well, if you've got the time, maybe try and add another show per week. And I'm like, I could do that. My shows are only 10 minutes long. An extra show a week wouldn't kill me. Actually, an extra 2 shows a week wouldn't kill me, but let's do baby steps with that. So I started doing my bi-weekly format, and then I started to see the numbers increase because it's all about the numbers with most of us anyway. So here I am. And I want to thank each and every one of you for your support, for listening, for retweeting, giving advice, and everything else. I wanted to mention, I really didn't get into listening to podcasts until quarantine started. I want to say mid to late March. I'm like, I got to listen, see what my competition's doing. I have to see what everybody else is doing. I can't just be involved with my own. So I started listening, and there's just about a handful of you that I really started listening to, and I still listen to now. That list has grown. It grows like every day because I try to listen to as many as I can within my, I have a short attention span, so I can't really listen to you longer shows, but there's a core that I have stuck with since the beginning. You really don't know what you do for a person. I mean, your content, the fact that you put something out on a consistent basis is just amazing to me. And your voice alone really has gotten me through. It's kind of like when you watch a TV show and, once a week and then, I got to wait until the next week. Or if it doesn't come on that week, you're disappointed. That's how I feel about most of you pods. So this is the list that I have of those who have really stuck with me throughout it all, and I wanted to recognize them now. The first one is Comfortably Poor Pod. They are amazing. Just their logo alone it's inviting, it's hilarious. These guys, barbershop talk, every week, they just really wow me. They really do. They're hilarious, good content, great show. Great bunch of guys. Check them out. They're on IG. They're on Twitter. Good stuff. The next one is Off the Record Podcast. Group of 4 guys. They've been doing it for years. They grew up together. Great chemistry. They don't talk over one another. They do YouTube shows. They have surveys. And each one of them has their own thing going too. I think one of them has like a couple of podcasts. So very admirable guys. And the one that I'm really shouting out is Mike. He's like the biggest podcast cheerleader that I've never met and hope to meet one day. Really, really good guy. So definitely you want to check out their pod. And the next one is one that I can't listen to outdoors because I laugh so hard. I don't want anybody staring at me. He's like the crazy uncle that you like, okay, what's he going to say this time? You got to be careful around Roosevelt. Roosevelt is the host. The X and Y show is the name of it. He talks about relationships between men and women, and he very raw. And you definitely have to check him out. Very raw. Even his intro. If you listen to nothing else, his intro and the letters, that's what he starts his show off with, the letters that he gets. And it kind of makes me wonder, are these really letters that he gets? Because the questions that are asked and his responses to them, I'm like, it can't be. Can't be real. But definitely check him out. He's on YouTube and Instagram and Twitter as well. The X and Y show. Really good stuff. And then there is, what is TWS? Flan is the host of that show. Very relatable, very transparent. I mean, he tells so much about his life. I appreciate that. I do admire that. I can't be. I don't know. I'm kind of a private person. But he just is amazing with his content. I get ideas from his show. He's amazing because even if he doesn't quite know what he's going to say, he will tell you that. You hear the wheels spinning. He wants to get content out to you. That's more important to him. And it's just fascinating. He has a charity that he talks about. He has his merchandise. I think most of them have merchandise. I don't have any yet. I still want to get my numbers up. I'm not quite happy with the numbers, so it may be a while before I get any merchandise. But he's definitely worth a listen. He's on all the social platforms as well. IG, Twitter. I believe he's on YouTube as well. And my next one is Old School Movement. These are guys from across the pond, London. And it's all 80s stuff. So if you like that era, they're the ones to listen to. Really feel good show. They talk about old school villains, old school video games, food, all that stuff. Really good stuff. And then they have a segment at the end of their show where they have someone call in and they have to answer questions within a certain time frame. Really fun. Really good stuff. I love their logo as well. Old School Movement is the one for you if you're all about 80s nostalgia. And then, last but not least, is a Daily Opt Pod. This one is really, I'm telling you, I mean, it's like everyone that I listen to really just is just so amazing to me. I just, anyone who puts out content on a daily basis, okay, consistently, it just, wow, I'm amazed by that. It really makes you, he really makes you want to act. Really a good feel-good show, but it really makes you want to do something. He gives you the news. He also gives you 2 positive news stories that you don't hear about in the news. And then he gives you a quote, and then he gives you a step, something to do. Okay, be nice to someone today. Give someone a compliment. Talk to someone you rarely talk to. It just really, and he does, so not only does he put out content on a daily, but he researches his shows. So it's just an amazing guy. Elijah is the host of that show, and he's on Twitter and IG as well. And of course, I have a lot more, but these are the core ones that I must listen to and have really gotten me through this time. So thank you, everyone, for everything, your support. Just the podcast community is just amazing within itself. It really is. So hopefully I can make it to a year and 2 years and 3 years and even like 5. So we'll see how that goes. I do plan to take some time off, a week at least, to try and come up with some ideas for my show. I'm open to any comments that you may have, what topics you'd like me to discuss. Feel free to leave me comments on my website, www.dreaspointofview.com. I'm on Facebook as well as Instagram, Drea's Point of View, Twitter, Drea Point. And you can hear me on most major platforms. I'm on Podbreed Network, Good Pods, Top Black Podcasts. You can hear me on Spotify, Anchor, which is my host, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, YouTube. Feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I'm pretty much everywhere. iHeartRadio. Thank you so much for listening to what I have to say. A lot of times we know people in our circle, and they they hear us. They don't listen. So I appreciate you listening to me. It means so much. I appreciate each and every one of you. Subscribe, tell a friend, and keep retweeting. This has been Drea's Point of View.